Thank you so much, Micah. My next guest I know is going to be a blessing to you. His name is Pastor Miles McPherson. He's the pastor of the Rock Church in San Diego, California. I met him a couple years ago. I immediately liked him a lot. And he's got an amazing church, by the way. If you're in San Diego and you're looking for a good church, I'm going to tell you, it's amazing what just the facility. I mean, it seats thousands of people. I guess 4,000 people. And it's a massive building, beautiful, excellent facility. He has an interesting background. He's a former NFL defensive back for the San Diego Chargers. And now he's a preacher. So that sounds like a story to me. Would you give a warm welcome to Pastor Miles McPherson?
Hey, God bless you, man. God bless you. God bless you.
So how long did you play football?
Well, professional football, 4 years, but I started when I was 10 years old.
Okay.
And I had a concussion my first game. I got completely knocked out. Didn't know where I was, and I probably had about 100 since then. But I played from the age of 10 to the age of 25.
Wow.
And the 4 years in the NFL. Got drafted by the Los Angeles Rams when they were here in LA.
Yeah.
And 1982 got cut.
I remember those days. I remember those days.
We were all little kids then.
Yeah.
And got cut, which means they tear your contract up and don't owe you any money, don't pay you any money. And then I signed with the San Diego Chargers.
But you kept your concussion, right?
I kept my concussions.
They gave you something.
I kept a lot of other things too.
Yeah.
Kept my concussions, all the injuries.
Yeah.
And then I signed with the Chargers and played 4 years and was cut a couple times with the Chargers, but it was a great time.
What's that like? Is that
getting cut?
No, I mean like playing professional ball. It's got to be a high and a fun time.
It is. I think when I came to LA to play, it was a big deal when I saw the helmet with the ram on it. I said, that's the real, because that was one of my favorite teams growing up. I said, this is the real helmet. But when you get on the field and you get past all the noise, it's like Pop Warner, which is Little League football, with a lot of people watching.
Yeah.
And I remember one time I was playing on the line, and I was defensive back, and I was covering a tight end, but I was on the line. And we were banking that it was going to be a pass, but it was a run. And I ended up seeing this all-pro offensive lineman running at me, and I'm playing linebacker, right? And I'm 180 pounds. And it instantly went back to Pop Warner, because I played outside linebacker. And I said, I know how to do this. And bam, bam, made the play. And it was just like playing as a little kid. So it was great, though. It was great.
And so how did you come to know the Lord?
Yeah,
was it a big story behind that, or was it just a progression?
I grew up in Catholic church, so the nuns at my Catholic school taught me the fear of the Lord. Because I thank Sister Rosalita and Sister Agnes and Sister Wilfred. They did not play, they back in the day they could hit us. You know?
Right. Right.
And Sister Rosalita she was the principal. She never smiled. In the whole 8 years I was there, and she had these rosary beads with a big cross at the end, and I would swear, I don't want to swear, but I bet you that the tips were pointed and poisoned. Because she was just, but so I knew the fear of God, and then when I was 19, these hippies came to me in a department store. I was, had a big afro. I was like a blow pop. I was real skinny, had this big afro. And these Charles Manson-looking guys walked up to me in a department store and shared the gospel with me. And the one thing they said that was different than everything I had learned was being born again, the personal relationship part. Because I had the religion part down.
In a department store?
Yeah, I just got high. My girlfriend was getting off work. We was getting ready to go do, so I was like...
Just tell it all.
I was just trying to be real, right? We're trying to be real.
Tell it.
So,
tell the truth and shame the devil.
I'm trying to tell the truth.
Do the do.
Do the do. That's one of many ways we can say that.
Yes, it is.
And they shared the gospel with me. I asked Christ to be my Savior right there.
Right. In the department store?
Right there.
That's amazing.
And the room started moving. I started crying, and I knew something just left me, or came in me, both, right? And for about 3 or 4 weeks, I was what I always call in spiritual shock. I didn't have sex with my girlfriend anymore. I didn't get high, and I said, my life is different. I'm laying in the bed, and the Lord appeared to me in the room. just appeared at the other side of the room. And I'm telling you, when you go to church and people claim to be in the presence of God and they're doing worshiping like this, you will not be doing that in heaven.
Wow.
When the Lord appeared to me, I was frozen. I could not move. I tried to move my arms. I tried to speak. I tried to sweat. I mean, my pores open, but the sweat said, I'm not coming out. I have nothing to do with that. And it was so, it was supernatural. I was scared to death. And then he went away. And for 5 years, I fell away. I didn't have anybody disciple me. So I went back to doing everything. And then when I was playing with the Chargers 5 years later, I was on the plane doing cocaine in the bathroom of the team plane. And I was walking down the aisle of the team plane, and a player was standing in the aisle of the plane. The aisle of the plane's about that wide. He was that wide. So I couldn't get by. And he shared the gospel with me. And I knew it. And he just confronted me with it. And a few months later, I was laying on my couch. It was 5 o'clock in the morning. I'd been doing cocaine all night. My heart was beating in my chest. A fellow player, defensive back, died, cardiac arrest from cocaine. So I'm thinking I'm going to have a heart attack. And I gave my life to Christ, rededicated my life to Christ, and I said, I'm done. I never did cocaine, never smoked marijuana again, never cursed. Got back at my girlfriend that day. All happened in the same day. We've been married 30-something years, 29 years now. And so that was a long story.
Yeah. Amazing. Wow, what a testimony. And then you end up in ministry after you came out of the NFL?
Yeah, well, I played 2 more years, and during those 2 years, I got discipled by the guy on the plane. And we started Bible study on the team, started sharing the gospel on the team, in the community. And then I got cut for the last time, had no job. I didn't know what to do, but I had started a Bible study in my house with some kids. I lived in this neighborhood where there were a lot of Filipino kids. I had never met any Filipino people, so I didn't know what nationality they were, and they were throwing beer bottles on my lawn. I went out and said, yo, what are y'all? And they said, we Filipino, man. So I said, okay, Filipinos, stop throwing beer bottles on my lawn. And then I invited one of them in the house, and he got saved. And then he got his sister. She was 14, about 89 pounds. She was doing crystal, methamphetamine, and she was just a rail. She got saved. And then I said, well, let's go get your other friend. Next thing I know, I had 9 nationalities in my house every Wednesday night. And I became a youth pastor at a church after I retired. And I had half the youth group, because what I had was as big as the youth group in the church, so we just put them together. And I became a youth pastor, and then the teaching pastor at night. And then we started the church in 2000.
And now there are just thousands and thousands of people there every weekend. How many services a weekend?
Well, we have 3 locations in buildings, and there's 15 services, 5 in each. And then we have services in like bars and laundromats.
Oh, you got to tell the story. Tell the bar story.
Okay,
I love this.
So we have a thing called a microsite, which is it's a box a crate about a little bigger than this, and in it we have a screen and 2 speakers, a projector, and a iPad, and we live stream to the screen.
So they take
the kit
into
anywhere,
a bar, anywhere,
bar,
and set it up, and it's being fed live from Sunday from your sermon.
Right. So right now we have 20 locations. Like, we'll go into a laundromat, and we'll buy everybody laundry at 10 o'clock when the service starts. So they come in and get the laundry for free, $68, and they watch. And this particular one has Spanish subtitles, so I'm speaking, and it's in Spanish on the bottom, so they can watch the Spanish. And then we have.
That's one of the greatest ideas I've ever heard.
On Easter, we started this 2 years ago on Easter, and we had it in a bar, 2 of the services. And literally, a guy was walking down the street, and he heard the music, because it's worship, it's the whole service. He hear the worship in the bar. He goes in the bar, sits down, and we...
So do you buy free drinks? How does that? Okay. That's so funny.
I don't know about that. If they have, they haven't told me. But we want to get drunk in the spirit. But anyway. This guy walks in, and he gets saved. He literally stands up and walks forward. On that particular
Wow.
Easter Sunday, we had 2 services in the bar, and each time there were 6 people, and each time somebody stood up and came forward. We were 12 hours away from being in a strip club. And that was the one I wasn't figuring. I mean, I was glad we were going to do it because we have women who go into strip clubs and minister to the girls. And the manager and the owner agreed, and then they changed their mind at the last minute. But they were advertising. You know, if you go into a restaurant and they have the menu on a little stand. So it said in the strip club, Sunday brunch, Rock′s, Pastor Miles. So the guys are watching the girls dance, and he's looking at God looking at them. So they would lay down the advertising because they couldn't have that look at them while they were looking at the girls. And so we were all set up, but it didn't work out. But we're in gymnasiums. We have one that's outside, and there are about 80 people in this community where a lot of homeless live, and they watch every week.
Amazing.
So we have 20 of those, and then 15 services in the buildings.
And you have an app called Miles a Minute.
Yes.
Tell us about that.
Yes. So
it's another great idea.
Yeah, years ago, I used to do high school assemblies, and it would kill me to speak at a school, have hundreds of kids get saved, hang out with them, and then never see them again. And at that time, there weren't cell phones. I mean, we're talking 20, 30 years ago. At least there weren't cell phones where I live. And so we created this app called Miles a Minute, where you get a 1-minute video from Miles every day. And so you get it on your phone, it's free, and every video has a share button so you can share it on all the social media platforms. Has a challenge question so you could do a little Bible study with somebody, a prayer, and then a gospel presentation. And so I think we're going to show one right now, but it's a free app. You download to Android and Apple.
I want us to check it out because it's a great idea. Right. So let's throw it to the app.
Miles a Minute.
Miles a Minute.
You know, whenever you get room service, they set up all kind of combination of food, condiments, and food accessories. You got 9 kinds of sugar for 47 people. You got salt and pepper. You have any idea what my food would taste like if I used all this salt and pepper? You got ketchup. I know a lot of people put ketchup on eggs, but I think that's nasty. You got grape jelly, strawberry jelly, which is what I put on my eggs. That's why it's empty. Then they gave me some butter. And they do this because they got to think of everything and every combination of how you're going to season your food, how you're going to eat your food. And they got to think of everything. They're trying to anyway. You know, when you worry, what you're telling God is, God, you haven't thought of everything. You forgot something. Let me tell you something. God hasn't forgotten anything. If he could take care of the birds and the bees and the ants, he could take care of you. So stop tripping and trust God. He's got your back.
When you preach on Sundays and you have seen the supernatural growth, I mean, it's really amazing, the thousands and thousands of people that you're reaching every weekend through your app, through your outreaches. How do you share Jesus Christ with people? What is the most effective way of communicating to this generation who Jesus is? What is that heartbeat of your ministry like?
The simple truth, I was blind and now I see. You know, I did cocaine for 2 years. I did marijuana for 8 years, slept around, was empty inside, played in the NFL. I'm a real person and deal with stuff every day, still to this day. I mean, you deal with the same things. And right. People, when they see you on stage and they think that, you know, you're having fun on stage, but for that 45 minutes, you're giving a message. But a lot of times, as you know, as a pastor, your heart is broken from something over here while you're preaching. Right. And people don't see that. They don't experience that. So I like to just share the simple truth of my life. I go on ride-alongs with the police. I was doing a ride-along with the police. My son's a cop, but other police as well. And I was tweeting out while I was doing the ride-along, and someone said, "Why would you do that?" And I said,